Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Niskiuna. It is September 6th, and we are here for the Economic Development and Environmental Conservation Committee. And I guess we will start with the roll call.
So in the room, we have David D'Arpino, myself, Laura Robertson, Joe Drescher, Janet Wynn, Elena Finnan, Matt Yetto, and online we have Doc Horton and Trisha Bergami.
Very good. Welcome all. And is there anybody from the public that would like to address us?
I didn't get anybody from the public.
Very good. And that brings us to the August 2nd minutes. I did have a chance to review those. Do we have a motion to accept? I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And they pass unanimously, and that brings us to the resolutions.
Just for the record, Bill McPartland's joined us virtually.
Oh, very good.
Morning, Bill.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning. I don't know if this thing's on or not.
It's good to see you know how to use this internet.
Yeah, imagine that. Technology.
Okay, so the first four resolutions I have are sort of continuing resumes that we got from that email blast. So I have 3 members of the planning board. I sent them an email to you guys separately with a tentative recommendation. I know, I think all 3 are perfectly qualified and fine. And I think whichever one we don't pick for planning board, we should offer zoning board.
Yeah.
So it only came out a couple hours ago. I'll give you and the town board a chance to take a look at it, and then probably by agenda meeting, we can hone in on the 2 that we want for planning board and the one that I'll offer zoning board to.
Okay, yes, that email blast was very fruitful. That's great.
Yeah.
So many responses.
I actually think with the other ones, which I do need to make the calls on, we'll be almost full on all of our boards.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
It's been a while. So, Complete Streets Committee, we have 2 applications for. We can fit both people if we choose the Complete Streets member for planning board. Otherwise, we'll have to choose one of the Complete Streets people for the board.
Say that again?
So if Millsborough goes to the planning board, then he will not be on Complete Streets anymore, is that
Yeah, they can't be
Okay.
on recommending boards.
right?
Yeah.
So that would create a vacancy and there's 2 potential people. So if he's selected to go to planning board, there'll be enough. There'd be spots for 2 people. We would potentially put those 2 people on it. And not then there'd only be 1.
Yeah. He'd be the only one I wouldn't offer zoning board to because he's a very good Complete Streets member. So,
Okay, very good.
then comprehensive plan committee, we have 2 residents, not affiliated with any other committees, just interested in the comprehensive plan. So I'll reach out to them. The only one that I just have to double check, looks like they're a college student, maybe in Canada. So I just have to call. They definitely have a Niskiuna homes, that said, but it looks like they may regularly be in Canada. So I'll just check that out before we do an appointment. And then lastly, just had another person want to join tree council, which as long as all of that checks out, we'd be completely full on tree council. So
Excellent.
I'm pulling up the packet here. I put tentative on to make a resolution calling for a secret determination and public hearing on amendments to the zoning code. Planning board is meeting on Monday with our project leads, and we may be ready. I mean, they're still split, but we may have some kind of consensus on our Monday meeting to call for a resolution for recommendation. If that's true, you guys could call for your public hearing because it takes a whole month before you can even hold it. Or you could wait another month. And it has to be tentative because we don't know exactly what the planning board is going to do yet.
Yeah, we had 4 takeaways from our public hearing. One was a public comment on number of residents recommended to be in a short-term rental. And then there were 3 other items that the board was still discussing. So we're going to try to work through those 4 items. If we feel that it's enough, I guess it would be amendments to changes, we'd have to have another public hearing, but also board discussion on and vote on to add those. So I think we're very close. This is probably maybe the last vetting round that we have, but we knew that this was going to be a lengthy portion of gathering information. It's very important. We've got a really good basis for what we have right here right now. That's, I think, overall consensus from the board. And something that the township is.
Yes, and I know we want to rush this, but of course, we can't really rush it because this is something we really have to do right. Because if it's not right, we're gonna get a lot of, opposition and legal pushback, I'm sure.
Hold, and it's current drafting out to the entire board, like town board.
So the entire town board is copied on my economic development committee packet. But I know Joe had said before, if I really want the town board to pay attention, I should probably say, here's the zoning.
I want to do that now, and the reason I say that is because it's not like just a short little amendment. This is something brand new, and we want to make sure that they have time to process it before calling for a public hearing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if, I'd say I wouldn't want to send it to him fully until we at least decide what the direction the planning board's gonna go, but maybe after Monday, I think the full, kind of discussed. The only thing I wanted to share is from the public hearing, and actually just a comment I got previous to the public hearing, there were a couple typos that I did fix that I highlighted in red. When I was talking to one of the residents on Milton Keynes who was concerned that people would bring an RV and park it in the driveway to get around the rental of the bedrooms, there is a section where it says no camping, which I feel like covers an RV, but it was very, very easy to just add no people camping in tents, recreational vehicles or otherwise. So I know we didn't really, more just like typo things. The CAC noticed that our code requires parking spaces to be 9 by 18 feet in our zoning code, but this was 9 by 20. So I changed it to 9 by 18 so that it is the same as our zoning code. And then the only other thing is there was a math error here. For the number of bedrooms in this top section up here, it said 2 times the number of bedrooms plus 1 additional occupant. And then down here, it would do 2 occupants for 1 bedroom plus 2 additional occupants. So the math didn't work. We could go to 2 on the bottom or 1 on the bottom or 2 on the top to make it equal. I did the lesser, so then it means that the maximum number of people that could stay would be 7 instead of 8.
Yeah, that's one of the items we've got to talk about.
Yeah, just so that the math is
Consistent.
consistent, but yeah, we can still change it, but that was just a typo that I didn't see for months, but anyway.
But otherwise, do you think that these occupancy numbers will stand or are you looking to change them?
I mean, the discussion is basically between a max of 6 to 8. So that's where we can get a little bit of zoning.
Okay. Very good.
And I think like the reasonable discussion on that, because when I was just looking at this mathematical error that we had in our code, I was trying to think like, you know, when you go to a hotel, you can easily fit 2 queen bedrooms in 1 bedroom and fit 4 people in 1 room. But then I was thinking about my own house. There's no way in heck I could fit 2 even full-size beds in 1 bedroom of my house.
Yeah.
So then you'd be like, okay, well, either you have a small person like on a tent or on a cot or something, if you're gonna have 3 people per bedroom. Or you just don't have additional people in your bedrooms here, and then that would bring it down to 6. So that's just kind of the final question of how you would fit those extra people in here with the 1 additional or the 2 additional.
Okay, so with the RV, I know we allow RVs for our residents.
Mhm.
Is it an issue allowing them for our residents and not for the short-term rentals?
No, because the actual code just says, there shall be no campers located on the short-term rental property, nor shall there be any overnight camping in tents. Recreational vehicles are otherwise used in conjunction with short-term rentals. So I think that used in conjunction with short-term rentals, like you might be able to have one parked in your side or rear yard, but it would have to be yours and not used in
Rent it out. So it's like the Airbnb, or use it as like an extra bedroom.
Okay.
Or like people who are renting couldn't bring their RV and then put their kids in the RV and sleep in the 1 bedroom, whatever, you know,
Right.
it's not allowed to use them in conjunction with.
So it goes both ways. the people that have an RV and are doing the short-term rentals cannot include the RV along with their rental property.
Yeah,
And they can't, the people renting can't bring an RV.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
it just can't be used in
Yeah.
conjunction with the renting.
Very
Provide
good.
additional seating area.
Very good. Well, I know this took a lot of time and this is very thorough, so I do appreciate the work that's gone into this. Thank you very much for and everybody else involved. And
Big
Dave,
team effort.
yeah, David, do you think this is going to, at the next meeting, you think we'll be able to get to the bottom of these remaining issues?
I think we're close.
Okay,
I think we're very close. We had a really good discussion period after the public hearing. And I think after our Monday meeting, we'll bring that information back to the board, have another discussion, and I think we should be able to wrap it up.
all right, very good.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely differing opinions on whether it should be allowed at all. We've had council weigh in on that for us, but then we also have, they know that there's a need for code. So that's what we're trying to balance. So this is the juncture, right?
We said this at planning board, I mean, like, this is our best take, but it doesn't mean that we may need to modify it. It doesn't have to be the code that we adopt for the next 30 years. The other thing I do want to do, but of course I always want to do these things and I run out of time, is I would actually like to make mock forms based on this code. So we can even see what a permit or something based on this code would look like. Just so people can kind of understand, and I think it might help wrap their minds around it.
A mock what?
Form.
Application.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
yes, very good.
Have stuff that can be done.
I lost my interns, which is sad. I get a lot more done in the summer when I have interns, but
Maybe I can ask Chuck and put something.
that would be great. If he's interested, I think, to take the code and just do a checklist. I can even do the formatting, but just figuring out how to do the form. Cool. Okay, and then my second one is also tentative, or sorry, the sixth. Is a resolution to award a contract for construction plans for sidewalks on Council Road and Palmer Ave. Because we didn't get the Climate Smart Community Sidewalks grant, we have ADA money and we have just a chunk of sidewalk money in this year's budget. And before Beth left, I talked to her about it. That it would be good to, if we can get plans and a contract let this year, for some sidewalks, especially the ADA sidewalks. We did do some ADA sidewalks when we did the Plum Street upgrades. But in order to really be honoring our ADA plan, which is a requirement of the federal government for federal funds, we need to make sure that we're trying to tackle a project that's every year. And the one that we identified in the clean energy communities was Palmer Ave, because Palmer Ave is an existing sidewalk, but it's only this is Palmer Ave between Grand Boulevard and Van Antwerp Middle School, and it's only like a foot or two wide in some places, and it doesn't have the ADA, curb ramps on either side. So one would be a rehab project for Palmer Ave. I think there's a lot of advantages to doing the Palmer Ave one too. The county is doing its plans on Grand Boulevard and putting a crosswalk from your side of Palmer Ave over to the Van Antwerp side, but then the sidewalk on the other side is substandard, not by anybody's fault, it's an old sidewalk. So my recommendation would be Palmer Ave for the ADA funding, and then I think Complete Streets would rather actually work on Cornelius than Council Road. I only have a quote for Council Road right now, but I want to get a couple more quotes anyway. So it is tentative, but if I can get a good engineering plan plus what the construction timeline would look like, I would like to get that on for the end of the month, because the time crunch on that is going to be really tight, especially if we're going to try and at least award for spring construction.
How many, blocks on Palmer Ave?
It's one block.
One block?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's kind of a long block, but it's the block from Grand Boulevard up to Main Antwerp. And
Yes.
then maybe like we did with Plum, when it connects with Van Antwerp, there's actually a part of Van Antwerp Middle School that doesn't have sidewalk either. So we would ask the school, which the school did on Plum. Like, we did the sidewalk up until the lot line, and then the school used our contractor and did the remainder. So that would be the hope on this one too.
Okay, very good.
I have a question, 1 second about that, the sidewalks and the money for that. Laura, where is that money coming from? Is that already money that you got in grant funds, or does the town have to match funds for this?
So this is the town match funds for the grant that weren't spent because we didn't get the grant. I don't have the lines directly in front of me, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's about $90,000 in the ADA funds, and I think there's maybe like $70,000 in the sidewalk funds for rehabbing the sidewalks.
That's for Palmer, right?
No, that's for any sidewalk. It wasn't earmarked.
Okay,
Well, it was actually originally earmarked to be the match for the Climate Smart Communities grant.
very good.
So we were being forward and made sure that we had the match ready to go if we got the grant. We didn't get the grant. But we should be doing ADA projects anyway, so
So those funds could be used for Consol and Palmer, or whatever side.
yes, they could be used for Consol and Palmer, or the Complete Streets recommendation is actually Consol and oh no, you know what? The Complete Streets recommendation is Consol and Birchwood.
Virtually, by the school.
By the school, yeah. I think because we keep getting comments from people on trying to walk to Birchwood, and it's an area that we haven't done a complete streets project in before, they actually wanted to hone in on Birchwood.
I understand your reasoning for wanting to try to push that forward, but we are getting into the budget season and budgeting now, so we definitely will have to take a look at that and take that into consideration.
Yeah, no worries. I'll have the numbers for you and you guys can decide. I do just want to make sure that you guys understand though, you adopt the ADA plan and it's a federal requirement that you start chipping away at it. If you don't, you can get sanctioned and not be eligible for federal highways money. So that's chips and stuff like that. So you don't want to mess around too much with the ADA. You have to do some kind of ADA project. I am completely fine with highway, just taking on the ADA projects and doing it. But if we have the money and I have some little bit of time, I'm happy to try and get a project going this year for the ADA, which I think Palmer is a really good choice.
We just need to expend or encumber that this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring.
Yeah,
And
we can
then,
sit down and
yeah,
look at it.
it's actually, as far as the original or the proposed budget is for next year, the funds stay at the exact same. They didn't change when they went from, because we know that we have to continually fund the ADA sidewalk stuff, so. But yeah, but we want to encumber it this year. A lot of the money is probably, this year would be for the engineering. That takes a lot. It's survey, it's design, it's permits, there's easements for Consol Road, which I'll show you in a second. So it may just be engineering this year and then production next year.
Very good. So what is the likelihood of Consol getting off the ground?
So in your packets, we've got our Consol Road concept plan. And it kind of basically lays out what's needed. Consol Road, the reason that this section of sidewalk does not go in is because it's not an easy section of sidewalk. Down here is Ingersoll Homes, and they have sidewalk that goes to their property line. And then up here is the Hannaford Niskuna Square Plaza, and they have sidewalk that goes up to here. This piece is where the sidewalk is missing. There is a significant swale, which is noted here. You can see it in the profile plan. It goes along the road, and then you don't really want to put the sidewalk directly adjacent to the swale for lots of reasons. So then there's a buffer, and then they've got the sidewalk. This is probably the safest and best cross section that you could do. It does require an easement from the property owner, which I know we have talked to him about it before.
That was quite some time ago.
It was quite some time ago. So we now have plans that we can use to have a conversation with them. One of the things that I remember you saying when we were talking to him is that he doesn't want like his property to be open to the sidewalk. So the engineer, you know, in the concept drawings has put basically like a buffer screening of the sidewalk to his property. Other than that, it's a fairly normal sidewalk. The cost estimate for it is also attached. It's, I think, $48,000 for construction. The big part of this is getting the easement and finalizing the survey and the engineering. So probably the construction, my guess with acquiring an easement and everything, it's probably more in the range of like, $80,000-$90,000. Yeah. So that's just the construction, but this is a good map that we can use to get started. It's a good map to start talking with the owner of the land and just see if we can, find consensus. I mean, there is a possibility of putting, if I just zoom in here, putting the sidewalk. Right, this brown line is the property line, this blue line is where they would ask for an easement to. So between the brown line and the blue line is private property that we'd ask for an easement. Between the brown line and going towards the road is Schenectady County. But you could, if you needed to, maybe shrink this down, but this is the ideal.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Okay. Well, hopefully that'll get done sometime in my lifetime.
Well, so I would say like my thing would be our next step, and there's no reason, I mean, this is a completion of the concept plan that we used the escrow money for. So, and Janet was very helpful with that. We've got that escrow money had been sitting for what, like 15?
I think it was longer than
Yeah,
that.
so we've got it, and this is what we can do. And then, maybe you and I could just go out there and meet the homeowner. So I'll just see if I can schedule that with you.
Excellent. Thank you all.
Yep. The other thing I attached to your packet is that Joseph and worked really hard on the policy. I think it's great. I love it. I have no more comments.
Thanks, good.
We did have a lot of comments. And I think Eric's pretty happy too, as far as I know. The last thing that we added, which was in red, is just that there's a couple boards that elect their own chair. So I think with that last comment, we're gonna be good. And if anybody had a chance to look at it or they want to look at it later, I think it's good to have it all written down. I'm pretty sure it covers everything that we talked about. So
And if, like you said, we have people lined up to fill some of the boards, hopefully we can have full board and we'll have this policy in place to review everything at the end of the year, see who's coming back, see who doesn't want to come back, and if any openings happen during the year, we have a policy for handling that.
we still do have a fair amount of openings on the historic preservation board and the architectural review board, but most of our regular boards are gonna be easily filled. And then,
Do we have, I assume we have the historic preservation committee that's posted on the website, like there's open positions? Or something specifically saying that one, so
I'm not sure about that.
maybe that's
Let-
something maybe that's something we put out there, and even if we need to like. Maybe if people don't understand or know what it is or need more information, we could even like. Have like a 30-minute information session that people could come to if they're potentially interested in.
I think that would be a good idea.
Bring donuts.
Yeah, if we could get more people on that.
Donuts.
David's gonna help us with writing the historic preservation, with just looking and rewriting and adding to the historic preservation section of the comp plan. But also think some more people, that could be a place where they review that chapter too.
Leslie's interested in doing that as well.
It was she. And then the last thing I have is the town logo, the discussion of the public hearing comments. So the schedule that we kind of outlined was originally we were gonna call for the public hearing to be held this month. And then potentially look at adoption next month, but because of Marie's, schedule, we actually pushed the public hearing to August, which gives us September to kind of soak on the comments and then think about potential adoption in October. So I don't have any action for the logo because I think this is like a good reflection month and decide what to do. And I have not fully tallied out the comments. I believe there were maybe 4 or 5. I'd say a couple in favor and a couple against. I don't know if anybody else has been getting comments. I really have not. So I guess one of the things the local committee said that they would do is they would kind of tally up the comments and just give us some responses to them, which I think would be helpful for the board. And then if the board has any direction on, adoption or wanting to go back a step in the process, I think this is the month to say, because, this is our reflection month, and then we can decide what to do after.
All right.
Okay. For planning board, tell you, David.
Okay, so we have a few. So our active projects are 929 Pierce Road, which is a 2-lot subdivision. The owner and the engineer are working on trying to work around a flag lot configuration, possibly making it a more conforming lot by purchasing property. So right now there's a farmhouse and an old barn and a deep lot, looking to take a small area and put a house behind it, papers down. So there's some known drainage issues that are on adjacent properties that are there that planning board has given the project lead some information on. So it's a work in progress. The owner's been very good working with as far as multiple steps that we've had with that. So that one's just good. It's still, when we covered zoning, 1045 Palmer Ave is a 2-lot subdivision. So this is a section that's down near Union Street. There is a lot that's next to a single family home. They're by a couple 2-family homes. And it's an interesting project. The city of Schenectady cuts through the back of the property. So there's a dual review, and the owner is looking to try to either get a house on the property in the Niskayuna side, and then depending on what that process is, there is the opportunity to possibly even develop something on the Schenectady side, because they have a different code for detached accessory dwelling units. And the other option is she may just add to the house itself. So it's an interesting project because it would be infilling an existing urban fabric on a very, very tight cityscape street lot anyways. So it's, I don't know, Jengus is the project lead on it. They met with the owner. It's a lengthy review. We explained to her that there's a zoning review. There's a bunch of recommendations that have to happen. So that one's in. 424 Balltown Road is the wing stop. There's a resolution for a tenant change, and that's scheduled for Monday's meeting. New projects are 1769 Union Street, which is Capital Cardiology, and that's just a tenant change.
Berkshire Bank is changing to.
Oh, okay, right, that's a new one. Outside of that, the only other commission business, we had a meeting talking about possibly getting the current board members to be liaisons to different boards and committees in town, so that they can come back and report at the end of each month when we do our commission business. Just quick updates. So have one, what architecture review board's doing, what comprehensive plan is doing. Maybe kind of keep the pulse on zoning, because we have a lot of recommendations that go to them and then come back to us. So we thought that'd be a good way to get some of the planning board members just to kind of outreach and that's basically
Good idea.
the boards and committees. And then obviously the short-term rentals are. That's it.
Well, thank you, David.
Zoning board has 3 cases, all residential area requests. For the grants, Lions Park, hi Joseph.
Space later.
Lions Park is, a constant work in progress. We have a new quote from our, one of our engineering firms, or sorry, architectural firms, that we like, that can do a structural analysis of the roof for us. I believe it's in the range of $5,000 though, so I don't know if it's something that we can look at this year or we need to budget for it next year. But we've got, the deck plans, some of the interior work has been figured out. We do need a structural analysis to decide what needs to happen with the roof and the footings. And then the idea would be when we have all of that, we can go for a very large grant and try and rehab the whole building. The critical pedestrian grant, Frank was very helpful. Have you on the submittal for that, Janet? Everything was submitted and we should be getting a final reimbursement of that and close out on that grant. Yeah, so
I like money down.
Yeah.
She do.
just randomly deposits out.
Yes. You have the money?
Yeah, it is in the email too. I believe it's like somewhere in the $90,000.
Excellent.
And then the linkage study grant, Chaim was talking to me about it yesterday and they have, I think, put it out. it's out for people to do bids on, and we will probably reviewing who submits on that and then selecting a contractor within the next month or two. I had a lovely conversation with a resident who lives south of Route 7 about the ideas that we could possibly tackle with the linkage study grant, and they're very excited about it.
Excellent. Good.
So the complete streets is just a reiteration of the 2 sidewalk projects. We'll work on that a little bit more. Again, it is tentative, but just trying to get that locked in so that we don't lose the money. And then Grant Boulevard County project. I can share these plans with you guys. They did come in. What they're proposing to do is to stripe parking on Grant Boulevard, and then they have little islands of striping on the intersections. And I believe 1 crosswalk, which is at Palmer. I'm not sure, I haven't talked to him about it, why there's a crosswalk at every intersection. But if you guys are interested, I can share that plan with you, and maybe we can send some comments over to him.
So Laura, just back to the grants update, quick. That $80,000 to $90,000 you mentioned, that was for the critical pedestrian grant?
To close it out, yeah,
Okay.
yep. So we spent that money, it was all, checked up, inspected, closed out on our end, and then submitted for final reimbursement.
Excellent. And the Lions Park, we haven't received, right? We're applying for more money to do that, kind of in completion, not just the deck, but also the work on.
I heard some people saying that the town was given $250,000 for Lions Park. We were given by Tilstack $43,000 to rehabilitate the decking. $43,000 basically doesn't go very far in the world today. It was basically just pulling up the existing planking and putting down the new surface of the deck. When we went to actually have our architect, Jim McKinney, look at that, he was concerned about the footing and the foundation for the deck. So then we took a look at it, and the other thing that he noticed, which shame on me for not noticing, is that that deck was not ADA accessible. And so it took a little while, but he built a plan working with the Architectural Review Board that makes that train station ADA accessible. And like, also, when you add a ramp and ADA accessibility, you have to have the very specific handrails and everything for the ADA guidelines. And then it becomes a question of how do you match that with the historic chart? So then they were like, just looking at, I think a lot of times what they do is they actually have the inset handles or the ADA ones, but they actually put like wooden railings in front of them. So it looks more wooden when you're walking up, and then the ADA handrails are on the inside, which is what they ended up deciding to do. And then it looked very unbalanced to have a ramp on one side and not the other, just for the aesthetics of the building. So they put it on both sides. Basically, I think very reasonable and very right thing to do to make that building as accessible to everyone. But the $43,000 no longer covers what we need to do.
Where did that 250 come from?
So
Mark?
250 is the whole grant.
It's what we need.
Oh,
The grants were broken down into 3 different projects. So how much money?
so we're still waiting on the exact number. The grant that we identified to Save American Treasures, it isn't out right now that I can find, but I mean, I think that you typically look at over $500,000 or something like that.
And then you have to figure out what the intended use is. So
Yes, that's huge.
that's the other thing too. So if you're gonna use it seasonally, there's a lot less. If you plan on using it year round and you want to make it actually compliant with heat and all of that, jump into the next level of construction and retrofit.
And the other thing I did hear from people, which maybe we can do this quickly, is they're like, well, I think you should put bathrooms in there. And I'm like, but we do have bathrooms at Lions Park. I think that people don't realize that we have bathrooms at Lions Park, especially if they're not parking in that parking lot and they're just walking up and down the parking. I don't know what the signage is there, but maybe we should make it bigger because I heard multiple requests for bathrooms in Lions Park, and maybe we even like, make a crosswalk or something across the parking lot to get people over to the bathrooms. Because they're quite close to the road, but I don't think you probably need 2 sets of bathrooms when they're that close.
No.
Yeah.
You might have money for that this year. Why don't you find out what the signage would cost?
Okay.
And then we'll get together and look. I've got something in my brain is saying I have a little bit of capital project money out there. I think we could.
Yeah, because there actually aren't any other bathrooms, I think. Well, actually, I'm not sure about the Mohawk Park on the Colony side. But, you know, do they have bathrooms? Yeah, but I think, you know, from there all the way up to Blatnick Park, there are no bathrooms. So, you know, sometimes people need them.
Trail too. Travel.
The Mohawk Park too, just like ours.
Yeah, they look exactly like ours.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably because you don't really want to put a septic or system that close to the river, so you're tucking them up to the road so that things don't flood out that you don't want to flood out. Okay, so.
I'll try.
Yeah, we can look, it just,
For
it
some
just
reason,
came
I
up.
think there's something there for that.
If there's some way that we can share that with people, if one person doesn't know there's bathrooms, there's probably, you know, a lot of people that don't know there's bathrooms.
So the $250,000 is the total grant that's available.
No. So, Phil Steck's office gave us a $250,000 grant for parks improvements. There were three different parks that the money was going to. The deck allocation was 43, Fieldstone Estates was, I'm just making up a number, 83. You know what I mean? Like, each park had its own allocation. And we worked very hard on the deck at Lions Park. But,
And we have to stick with that allocation.
no, I believe when the things change, you are able to reallocate.
Oh,
when you
good.
need to, yeah.
Okay.
But I think you have to do it through Phil Steck's office.
Oh, yeah. I think I should do that. I have not, I know they've been answering questions from them. I don't have the grant agreement, nor am I administering, but I do have a lot of information on Lions Park. And I can definitely show people that we've been working very hard on making it accessible and bringing it, you know, and bringing the deck back to life. And when you start looking at the deck, it's attached to the bay window, and the bay window has, you know, some needs on the underneath of it. So like if you're pulling all the wood out and then you're not replacing the underneath of the window, like it's scope creep, but it's good scope creep because I really think that if you're gonna take that out, you should get it out and get it all set so that it can last and figure out what you want the use to be. So that we can really make use of that. That's the highest visited park on the Mohawk Hudson Bike Trail by far. So if we're able to leverage that, work with Metroplex, work however we can to get that train station the money that it really needs to get fixed, we're working on it. We definitely are.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Okay, so going really fast. Tree Council is working with Highway Department on the fall round of tree planting. The spring one went great. I talked to Pete about it yesterday. He's gonna get us stakes for another round of tree planting in fall. And then Aaron helped me organize this. I'm just reminding everyone, we have a presentation to the town board, the Tree Council is gonna do a presentation to the town board on the October 8th finance meeting. The Conservation Advisory Council has scheduled their final fall NRI walk in October, and I think it's the 17th, but I'll get the date and the flyer to you guys by the next meeting. The Climate Smart certification was reviewed by DEC for the Bronze Award, and we fell shy a couple points, so we weren't able to get the Bronze Award this round. But they did give me guidance for resubmitting, and the next resubmittal date is January 2025. So I feel that we will be very strong with that review. It'll be pretty easy to pick away at those points. And I would expect that we would be able to resubmit in January for bronze recertification in the first quarter of 2025. The submittals for round 3 Clean Energy Committee, at our last CAC meeting, Ellen talked about they're going to be doing a composting tent at the farmer's market, and then we need to do an email blast to let people know to come visit. And then they're still working on their CAC items. The Architectural Review Board is mostly, like I said, working on the Lions Park train station with some little projects for people here and there. The Comprehensive Plan Committee has been really tackling a document that outlines the responses from the survey. And I'd say that that's probably 85 to 90% done. And we're just kind of tweaking the data a little bit and finalizing the park chapter. And the next chapter they want to look at is the historic preservation chapter. So the building department has a 2024 mid-year metrics report. Again, we ran out of time on that, but if you guys are interested, I can send it around to you. And then I just wanted to let everyone know in the planning department that we had a really good meeting with Matt Yetto and Cameron of the engineering department on 2 quotes that we got for analyzing drainage in the town of Niskuna. Both of them are a decent amount of money. And we were just kind of, I don't know, brainstorming how to execute any type of, update of our drainage, overall town drainage issues, engineering study wise. And I think what we kind of landed on is that we will look into, what grants we could possibly leverage with the engineering study. We need to have a meeting with Janet to understand exactly what the budget is and how it kind of changes year to year, so we can, like, for instance, if we only had $100,000, we don't want to award $100,000 engineering study. So, we just have to understand that, and then I think,
Research grants,
yeah, the
Yeah.
research the grant.
but the drainage line has been changed recently. So we want to make sure how much is available, what it's earmarked for.
Actually, set that up for next week. Things are like chaotic.
Oh yeah, even the week after, way it slowly. We don't want to ignore the issue. We know that we're getting heavier storms and stuff like that. But it definitely is kind of right, possibly outside the budget right now. So we're just like taking it a day at a time, trying to figure out the ways that we can model the rain. That's fine.
The last study really isn't relevant to today, or it's relevant, but it's kind of,
It's
outdated.
Yeah, it's a good reference, but a lot of factors has changed since then. Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway,
with all the construction and whatnot, it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
yes.
Top of the change in weather, it's probably really outdated.
So what we're thinking is if we can kind of figure out, okay, so this is a general idea how much it costs to do at least as, a third of the base analysis. Then what does that open up in terms of grants? How could we execute? What would the budget need to look like for like the next 5 to 10 years? It's really like a long-term, what can we do to plan on how we can understand? Planning board hears it all the time. Seneca Road drainage, Rao Road drainage, actually, planning board doesn't get this one very often, but Regent Road street drainage.
Very good.
And then, so you guys saw the Council Road sidewalk. John and I will just need to do a site meeting there. I don't have any updates on Winnie Road or 31 East Street. Dr. Horton, do you have any Metroplex updates?
Yep. I'll get my camera on. Oh yeah. One of the things two things. First of all, we did not have a meeting in August. However, I do have a request to Ray to see if he can come to our October meeting. I should know something within a few days or so, and I'll let you know so we can get the word out to make sure that folks know that Ray will be coming to our meeting. But the other thing is that an idea that I've been kicking around my head for a little while is I think we're doing a great job of honoring our past, dealing with the issues of the present. But I would like to, for us to host, and I'd be willing to lead this, host at least one community forum where we invite our citizenry to come in and we have discussion about the future of Niskuna. And perhaps we can perhaps start thinking about 5 years down the road and just start and so we can start engaging in these discussions. If it's really fruitful, then I personally be willing for us to continue these. Now I would be willing to lead these because I think that the more that we can start thinking about how we, not just how our town is, but how we want our town to be. I think those are the types of things that can bring people together. And most importantly, obviously, we often hear from business people and politicians and the community activists, but I like to hear from the grandmas and grandpas. I also like to hear from even the high schoolers. And I'm thinking that maybe it could be a real a type of real loose meeting to the extent where we could have light refreshments. It wouldn't be a tight agenda because we want it to be open to folks' discussions, but I see something like this as something that could be truly empowering to the average everyday citizen in Niskayuna. But most importantly, I firmly believe that we can get some great ideas as to how to, in terms of future directions for community development in the town. And thirdly, it never hurts. It never hurts just to make sure that you're in touch with the people and the people are in touch with you. Again, I hopefully I don't sound overly enthusiastic, but I'm excited about just the idea of just let's have a discussion about the future. And let's look at how we want our town to grow, how we want our town to be, not because of some person coming in with a company that's going to provide with a couple hundred jobs, but because ordinary citizens say, you know what, I think I would like for our town to have this, or for us to do that. And obviously, you know, the town council meetings, they kind of serve that function in a way. But I'm talking about just a meeting where we actually just have an open discussion about futuring and what we
No,
want to do.
that's a great idea. I can help you with that.
I would absolutely love for us to do that. So yeah. So I guess we're getting a thumbs up on that idea.
Yes, for the comprehensive plan, we tried to have community meetings where people could come and tell us how they wanted to see the future. And then we also had a booth at Niska Day. I think the Niska Day booth and our first meeting were the most well attended. But even as a continuing dialogue, I think it's always good to be having those conversations with the public. But if there's a way that your like expertise can help create a different kind of community forum where we can listen to people and see what they would like for the future of their town, I would love to keep trying. We really do not get very much attendance when it's town run.
we need to somehow or another, we need to come up with a different format so
Yeah.
that we can have folks come in. That's what excites me when ordinary folk come in and they have ideas. And as the leaders, we'll say, "Oh man, my goodness, I hadn't thought about that one."
Yeah.
And so it's just I think it's and I tell you, a lot of times we have these great, it's true from the mouth of babes. I think having high schoolers there would be helpful because high schools, kids see things that we adults can't see because they're looking on the outside in a way. And so that's why kids are always calling us adults out because they see us in a different light. And good.
Yeah, as they should. I completely agree. No, I think if you have some ideas on that, I know I'd be willing to help. Trish can help, and probably Dart would even be willing to help.
Okay, let's. I'll get with you. We'll set up a time and do some brainstorming because I like before the snow hits. I'd like to at least have the first one, and then maybe we could go virtual after that or something. But I just want to have a setting. We may even maybe who knows, maybe we'll have it at the high school or something. I don't know. But the point is, we need to do something so that we can kind of engage the everyday ordinary people just on their ideas. No heavy agenda. How would you like Niskayuna to be? How to look in the next 5 years? Just
Great idea.
Well, like I said, I'm willing to lead that effort because
Okay.
I am because the future of this. First of all, I've been in this town I've lived here for I think 22 years, and so lovely town, and I've enjoyed being here. But at the same time, as a community developer, I'm always trying to be sensitive to what the average public person or the average person thinks, and making sure that they feel that this really is a part of they are a part of the town as opposed to just being in the town. There's a difference, being
there
in it and being of it. And so I just want to see if we can do that and to continue to elevate the town spirit in a way. Anyway, I don't want to go on. I'm a college professor, you know, and you give us a second to talk and we'll turn anything into a lecture. I apologize for that. Okay. But I'm just excited about that idea.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so I'll try and schedule a meeting with you on that, and then we can look at some dates and some ideas.
Thank you, Doc. Great
Oh.
idea.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering your passion and your time.
All right, and that brings us to Miss Finnan.
All I have is 2 pending building and code violation cases in the town and the BR Holdings appeal. We have oral arguments in November.
All right, very good. And I know this doesn't really pertain to this committee, but are we discussing or getting anywhere on the religious association exception or the water usage bill, maybe for the minimum use? I know we talked about a little bit. I don't know if that's a legal issue or if that goes back
I
more
mean,
to,
it's not really involving the legal stuff, but I know that Aaron and Bill have been having some of those discussions.
Okay. Very good. All right, thank you. And do we have anything? I don't think Miss Osborne McCall was able to make it.
No, she did send me her report. She wasn't able to make it today. They had a meeting on August 15th at 7 p.m. They discussed the railroad station grant, the National Historic Preservation Codes. They worked pretty hard on a recommendation for a single family home that needed to be demolished. And she did outreach to the Schenectady County Historical Society Revolution 250 working group. So I think she said this at a couple of the other EDHP meetings, but they're working on the big anniversary of the United States. And so they're going to be doing a bunch of things. I think it's in 2 years.
Okay. Very good.
2026. Oops. So, yep, she's working away. She couldn't make it today, but she says hello to everybody. And then the last thing that I had was the planning board vacancy or the board vacancy list. And like you can see, with the proposals to be filled, where we're really standing. And so I'll make that one note about the website for the Historic Preservation Committee. I'm not 100% sure that one was actually on the email blast. So I'll have to look.
Okay. Well, we have 3 resumes for the 2 planning board vacancies, right?
Yes.
So the idea is possibly the one that we can't use for planning board, we'll put on a different board.
I like to offer them to zoning board. Bill McPartland knows this, but zoning board members often migrate over to planning board when they get really involved and they like the zoning. If that's their calling. So I think if somebody's really interested in helping with planning, the zoning board is a good start. Probably second best to being a planning board alternate, and then they take a look at the cases, they see how the zoning affects the individual properties, and then sometimes they're able to move over to the planning board at a time.
And, well, I mean, would it have to be the zoning board? Could that, whoever we don't use for the planning board, possibly on the comprehensive plan committee, or?
I mean, we can offer them pretty much any.
Yeah.
But I find that people who are interested in planning board meetings are interested in sort of the time and the ability to affect change. And so the zoning board, it has similar powers. It's not planning developments. It's semi-judicial with people's properties. But it is a really good way to understand how the zoning code affects individual homes, individual land.
Mhm.
It's a really good perspective that you can then bring over. So like Sarah Belaski, our new planning board member, was on the zoning board for years. And she has a great perspective when we're going through, just because she was an implementer.
Very good. All right, is there anything further for the good of the order? Seeing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.
All right. Everybody have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you, Doc. You too.
Bye, Bill.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
And
you.
Laura, I'm looking forward to that email so we can set up that meeting.
Okay, I'll send it this morning.
Thank you. Bye-bye.